Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's a beautiful day in Calgary. No more snow. Nice and sunny out. Yeah, lots to do today, but I want to make a quick video. Was exploring downtown yesterday in Calgary, and I know that homelessness is a big emerging crisis that we see in the South Sudanese community. And yesterday I saw a lot of homeless South Sudanese community, mostly by the Calgary downtown library, like right in the front. And also there were some homeless people in the library as well. And I also saw this guy who seemed to be passed out on the train, but it looked like the train driver took care of it and got support for this person. But yeah, we're seeing a lot more homeless people, and I think just for my research, because I'm going to be doing a master's thesis on intergenerational trauma among the South Sudanese diaspora, however you call it, in Canada, mostly in Canada, and mostly in Calgary. I was talking to my dad, and he was like, if you do it in Canada, you're gonna have to go to Toronto, you're gonna have to go to Edmonton, you're gonna have to go to Vancouver, and that's a lot of money and funding. But if I just do it in Calgary, it's a little bit more condensed. And I was like, he's right. That's the thing, when you're like a new researcher, you want to just do it so broad. But he's right in trying to narrow it down to just Calgary. So just walking around and going to the community yesterday was good, because it kind of gives you that lived experience. Because when you're studying something or people or whatever, you're just writing it and reading it. But when you're like seeing it, you're encountering it, you're involved in the community, I think you have a better understanding of the population, and you have more empathy. And also, if you're from the community, it also helps as well. But just walking around yesterday, seeing what I saw in Calgary, I think it was really good for reflection, what I'm seeing, because it's not just something you read and hand in. These are like real life people facing homelessness, facing so much trauma. People who came from a war-torn country and are now living in Canada. They lost their jobs, they found the job difficult, pricing for everything in Canada, Calgary, was very expensive. And a lot of people who are in pain use drugs or drinking to soothe their pain, and it's not a healthy coping mechanism. But hopefully, we could introduce people to better ways of coping, like exercise or artwork, going for walks, maybe connecting with the community, connecting with culture. Because in South Sudan, there's about 60 to 64 indigenous tribes, and now when you're in the diaspora, everybody is kind of here. You might lose touch with people in your community, although they have like the South Sudanese community, and you can find members from your community there. I just don't believe it's the same as it would have been back home, or maybe before the war started. Well, that's just some of my observations, and research is like a lot of observation. And yeah, it was really good to be there and to see that, even though it was very sad. I think it had to be done, because it had to be done to see that. And when I search journal articles about the topic that I'm studying, there isn't a lot of journal articles about the South Sudanese community in Calgary and kind of what I'm doing, intergenerational trauma. Not that there's like nothing out there, it's very limited. So it needs to be studied more and more and more. And yeah, I spoke to Matthew Brian Schroeding about it, and he's really interested in the same topics that I am. We had a really good conversation about it and gave me a lot of insights on what intergenerational trauma is. And he was talking about it more in the indigenous perspective. However, he did talk about epigenetics and how that lives inside your body and affects your behavior. And he said that people, maybe they didn't go to the war, but maybe their parents did, but they still exhibit the same kinds of experiences if they were in the war. So that was really interesting perspective from him. And he looks at intergenerational trauma as a structure, systems and structures. That's how he looks at it. And he also did mention that there is intergenerational love. So there's always intergenerational trauma. We never talk about intergenerational love. And he said, like, before contact, that indigenous people, you know, they had a lot of intergenerational love, and we don't really talk about that enough. So I thought that was interesting too. Makes me want to look at the South Sudanese community before Civil War. You know, how are they doing things? Was there intergenerational love there as well? So yeah, it's really interesting topics. And yeah, I think when I'm on my journey doing my thesis, I'm gonna keep making videos and asking you guys for ideas. And because it's probably something that I don't know about, and I feel like this is going to be an extremely long thesis, like 100 pages or maybe 200, because it's going to be really good. So I'm excited for that. Okay, thanks for listening. Take care.